Wiedersehen, ironically, means till we meet again. So it's kind of whether one thing came from the other, I don't know. But there we go. It's this. B is for Berlin. This is Berlin before the RAF got at it. So this is pre-war Berlin. And you can see the Unter den Linden leading down to the Brandenburg Gate. Probably was quite a beautiful city. I don't know if anybody's been recently, but it's very kind of, there's not much of the old city left, actually. It's, fairly modern type place. And just to prove it, here's one of the buildings in Berlin. I can't remember, I couldn't find out what this was called.
Horrible.
Not sure.
I think it looks terrific.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It looks like Lego. Looks like a lot of Legos being stuck together.
Yeah. But there's quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite a lot of this kind of stuff dotted around Berlin these days. So there's presumably an attempt to be completely modern rather than going back to the past. There you go. B is also for Beethoven.
My hero.
Great painting. He always looked angry to me. I don't know, kind of.
Reminds me of you, Graham. That was a joke. That was a
always
joke.
Angry. Okay.
No, you always look sad.
No.
Not angry.
Okay, I'm miserable. I know that.
I said sad, not miserable.
He was not very short-tempered, wasn't he? I think.
Yeah. Well, he was also deaf, which another similarity. He was born in 1770 in Bonn, and he died in 1827. So he wasn't a terribly long life, but he produced some amazing stuff, as you probably all familiar with. But, there we go. And then C is for cabaret.
Oh yeah.
This is cabaret, and the kind of in the interwar years, Berlin was what you might call a fairly louche place to be. There was a lot of cabaret and cross-dressing and freedom, if you like, kind of like a kickback perhaps to previous what had happened before. And then, of course, the Nazis weren't terribly fond of this kind of thing, so they it was anti-Aryan, so they came and suppressed it. I'm trying hard not to concentrate too much on Nazism, but it does crop up from time to time. Anyway, this period in Berlin, and people like the stories like Christopher Richards' I'm a Camera, which is what cabaret is based on, telling tales about the nightlife in Berlin, which is perhaps pretty fantastic in those days, but encapsulated in the 1972 film, which you may or may not like. I think it's terrific, but not everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, here is the city of Cologne with its enormous cathedral. If you've ever been, it absolutely dominates the city. I think it's probably the largest in Northern Europe. It's, I think, probably not as big as St. Peter's, or I think the second one is Seville Cathedral. But there you go. But it actually dominates the whole city. If you go, and of course you can get perfume is named after the city. Eau de Cologne is for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know.
7-Eleven. It was 7-Eleven, wasn't it? The Eau de Cologne.
7-Eleven.
That's it. My mum used to like that. Actually, Dave and I visited Cologne Cathedral when we were on our honeymoon, because we went to Germany for our honeymoon. And we walked in holding hands, and some chap in some sort of black sort of outfit came up and pushed our hands apart. We weren't allowed to do that.
Oh, yeah. God is love.
Yeah, it was ridiculous, wasn't it?
That's amazing.
I mean, that's the ultimate killjoy, isn't it? You can't do better than that.
And that was the week you were on yours as well, I expect, Gordon.
It was. Well, we were in Paris and there's no problems with that at all.
Oh, no.
Yeah, as long as it was your own wife. Yeah, there you go. Let's move on. Okay.
Is this Jura?
Brecht Dürer, yeah. 1471 to 1528, Renaissance painter and printmaker. Amazing stuff, actually. I don't know much about him, but here's one of his animal things, the rhinoceros, which I think is rather splendid.
I think it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we're talking, 15th century, so it's okay. Deutschland, D is for Deutschland. I better move on, hadn't I? Germany was until towards the end of the 19th century was a kind of abstract idea. It was lots of little states and principalities, and all speaking a similar language, but not actually a unified country. We'll talk about unification later on. Made up of 17 states anyway, so here you go. And here's, it's not Bernard.
No. No, it was.
But it could be, couldn't it?
You caught me on an off day there.
Yeah, I know. Anybody know who this is?
Does it begin with E or D?
Begins with E. Anyway, it's Max Ernst.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, who is the pioneer of Dadaism. And here's one of his paintings, which I really like.
Oh, fabulous.
Nature at Dawn, 1936. So you can see the, I don't know, it's weird and eerie, but I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Colours are amazing.
Scary. That bird with the hands.
Yeah, that kind of one step out of reality, isn't it, really? But,
Maybe had a lot of green paint left at the end of it.
Yeah.
Or none left after that.
You're so prosaic, Bernard.
Beautiful painting. It's just rather.
I love it, yeah.
Yeah. This
Frankfurt?
is Frankfurt, yes, which is in central Germany, but kind of the most very modern and important city, perhaps. The major financial centre. It's the European Central Bank is based in Frankfurt, and they're always trying to transfer everything from the city of London to Frankfurt if they can, but and they probably will. Anyway, there you go. Frankfurt on the River Main in central Germany. And the people who live in Frankfurt are called
Frankfurters.
Yes.
Is it a particular type of sausage? I mean, is there anything special about the sausage in the Frankfurt?
It's parboiled in sheep's intestine for the vegetarians amongst us. Personally, I think they're hideous, but kind of they're very popular. But okay, a little bit off piste here. This is G for the
Grasspay.
Which was a German pocket battleship which did a lot of damage.
Sorry, I didn't get what G is.
Grasspay.
Yeah. Which did a lot of damage to Allied shipping, but it was trapped in the River Plate between Argentina and Uruguay in I think 1940, and they were chased by 3 British battleships. And anybody my age, probably Tony and Bernard, will have remembered the film Battle of the River Plate with the
Yes.
the Ajax, the Achilles, and the Exeter. But apparently, the commander of the ship, Captain Langsdorff, received some wrong information that they were being massively pursued and were likely to be destroyed. So he scuttled the ship. I don't know whether he got into trouble for that afterwards, but nevertheless, that's what he did. We didn't destroy it, he destroyed it himself. Okay, H is for hamburger. All right, okay. Hamburger comes from Hamburg steak, which was a mince and spices patty kind of thing. German immigrants in New York ate it a lot, and it was adopted and turned into a sandwich, and hence we have the ubiquitous burger, the shortened version thereof. But it comes from a Hamburg steak. And this is the city of Hamburg, Germany's largest port on the, on the Baltic. You see all the
Is that a photograph or a painting? It looks very...
It's a photograph, but it looks, it does, you're right, it does look slightly...
I think it's been enhanced, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, the colours don't look terribly...
No.
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 But I think this tower here is definitely a photograph, so I presume it's just
Yeah, it's a photo.
so shot to some extent, but there you go. Hamburg, quite badly, heavily destroyed in the Second World War, but it's been rebuilt. There we go. Okay, internment. I for internment, and it's internment of Germans in the UK at the beginning of the Second World War.
I like the cat in the foreground.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
Italians, Germans.
Looks like George.
It's nothing like George.
It's a ginger cat.
Okay. The internment camps were set up on race courses, incomplete housing estates. There's one in Huyton in Liverpool was used for a time, but most people were sent to the Isle of Man.
Yeah.
Many of them were in fact Jewish, so they were unlikely to be, you know, pro the German regime, but nevertheless, they were interned. By February 1941, most of them, apart from the most sort of whatever choices they made, were released, and many of the men joined up to fight for the Allies. There you go. So internment happened. Not talked about very much, I don't think. We probably know about it, but yeah, I don't know what the history of it in the Isle of Man is. It mentioned in the Isle of Man's?
Yes, it's mentioned a lot. I can't remember, but yes, it is mentioned quite a lot over there. I think there's a place you can visit where people were interned, but I'm not an authority on it, Graham, so I won't.
No, I just I don't
it
think
is mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it wasn't quite like concentration camps, but I think it was obviously you know,
Yeah.
restriction free.
I might look that up after.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bit of a history in this area, the Mosley area, of Italian prisoners of war working on roads locally, repairing roads, and some of them apparently stayed. So there are still, you know, a few Italian families around.
J is for Junker, which is kind of well, the Prussians, aristocratic landowners in Prussia and East Germany, and they wielded quite a lot of political power prior to the rise of Nazism. This is a Junker wedding, and of course,
it's a great photo, that.
Beautiful.
Because it didn't look staged, does it? They were all looking at each other and chatting and commenting.
And some people are not paying attention to the camera. Yeah, it's kind of like, you're right. There you go. And of course, the Junkers were also German fighters in the Second World War. Okay, here's K is for Kaiser, Wilhelm II, Queen Victoria's grandson. daughter of Princess Victoria.
Look at those shoulder pads.
Yeah. Like Dallas.
They look like
That's a keeping your coffee cup on, then you don't have
I was thinking, yeah, the tears.
they look like massive brushes to me, but you know, maybe he was very conscious of the fact that he had a withered arm. He's trying different ways of disguising it in photographs. So maybe this draws attention away from his arm. I don't know. Anyway, he abdicated on the 9th of November 1918, which would be 2 years before. 2 days, sorry, not 2 years. 2 days before the armistice. But there you go. And he died in 1941 in somewhere in the Netherlands, I think, actually. Yeah. Okay, L is for Lily Marlene.
Hey.
Okay, which ironically was adopted on both sides of the.
Yeah, it's weird, that, isn't it?
Which I always found strange because I think Vera Lynn used to sing it actually, but it was it's an old German folk song, popular song anyway. But it's interesting that it was adopted by both sides of the conflict. And this very camp man is advertising lederhosen, but it's kind of a strange combination of. Sounds like the first guy saying, "Come and buy my lederhosen."
Yeah, it's a great photo.
And there's the fabulous Marlena, yeah.
Blue Angel.
In a dirt track, yeah. It's just a fantastic photograph, is it? Because it kind of like
Yeah. Vorticist.
So she was 1901 to 1992, film star, icon, songstress, if you like, but a one-off, I think, definitely a one-off. Kind of conflicted, I think, during the Second World War because she was living in America, but German birth. But I think, I don't know if she would. Okay, and N is for Nazism, which I just thought I'd show. Couldn't. The only other N that came up was Nuremberg, so it's kind of like twixt the devil and the deep blue sea, really. Ironically, you know, the Nuremberg rallies, and then of course Nuremberg was the place where all the Nazi trials were held after the end of the war. I recently watched a film called Judgment in Nuremberg on Talking Pictures or something, which pretty good film actually. But if it comes around, have a look at it. Okay, O is for Oktoberfest. They really like dressing up, Germans, don't they? These gentlemen are enjoying the beer at the Oktoberfest in Munich, which happens every year.
Like a stag night.
Yeah. Ironically, the Oktoberfest takes place in September, but there you go. It does run into.
Why do men love dressing up as women? Because women don't dress up as men in the same way, do they? I mean,
Well, some do.
well, yes, but it's relatively minor compared with, you know, straight men and all sorts of men love dressing up as women. I've noticed in my life.
Most women
Don't
wear
spend
trousers.
hen nights dressing up as men like men can spend stag nights dressing up as women.
Yeah, it's probably quite sort of.
I think we should do more of it.
Misogynistic, actually, isn't it? It's not terribly.
I don't know.
It's just odd.
Yeah.
You know, whatever you want to do, but I just think it's something.
Okay, let's move on. P is for pumpernickel. P is for pumpernickel.
Pumpernickel.
That looks great.
Or black bread, which is sweet rye bread mixed with sourdough. Apparently, it's incredibly healthy. It tastes like eating a doormat, but
And it's very chewy.
yeah, but it's apparently full of all kinds of good things. So if you get yourself a pumpernickel from
It looks like chocolate.
yeah, well, that's why it's called black bread, isn't it? Okay, Q is for quark, the German word. There's all kinds of different
Oh,
types.
wow.
But amethyst, citrine, rose, smoky, etc., etc. Very useful in glass, concrete, mortar, silica, etc. So Quarz is the German word. Reichstag, built in 1884 to 1894, was the seat of the government of German Empire and the Weimar Republic. But it was burnt down by the Nazis in 1935. They burnt, and it wasn't restored till after the war. It was also bombed a bit as well, so it was knocked about a bit. But then Norman Foster, the British architect, restored it in the 1990s, and it's now looks like that, with this amazing glass dome over the center of it, which is quite something. The back of it is very kind of different from the front, but interesting anyway. S is for Stollen, Jackie's favorite Christmas cake. I quite like it actually too. It's quite nice.
What's the Italian one that's the equivalent of that? What's that called?
Panettone.
Panettone. Yeah.
Which do you prefer, Stollen or Panettone?
Stollen's sweeter, isn't it? It's got marzipan in it and stuff, so it's kind of. Panettone is nice. Panettone makes the best bread and butter pudding you've ever tasted. If you should try. So,
Yeah, good. Handy tip there, Graham. Thank you.
You're welcome. Just call on me. Sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut.
Which is definitely an acquired taste. It's just like what it is. It tastes like it sounds actually. But there you go.
Very healthy. Very healthy.
T is for Thomas Mann, famous Nobel laureate writer. Lost my place now. Where am I? Oh yes, 1875 to 1955. Married with 4 children, but apparently struggled with his latent homosexuality all his life, and then we got Death in Venice. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Almost beat me to it. Thomas, I found this film incredibly moving. The last scene where Dirk Bogarde is, well, he dies, doesn't he, on the beach, to the sounds of the Adagietto from Mahler's Fifth Symphony. Well, I don't know. I find it pretty.
Not a dry eye in the house.
Yeah, hard to watch, really. Yeah,
and all the makeup on his hair dye all runs down his face. It's
all running away.
Very moving.
Yeah. Okay. This is where am I? Unification. Yeah. These are the states which make up Germany. Germany only emerged in 1871 properly, around about the same time as Italy as well. Italy was in the same situation, a load of states all kind of disjointed and unconnected. So Germany actually only exists from 1871 onwards. And of course, in 1945, it was split up again into British, French, American, and Russian zones. So you see Berlin there is very much surrounded by the Russian, so closer to Poland than the west of Europe. Okay, and V is for the Waltz, which is descended from the German dance, the Landler. If anybody who's a Sound of Music fan will remember the scene in which Julie discovers that she's in love with Kerstin von Trapp by dancing the Landler on the terrace, kind of. But there you go. There's Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer. Richard Wagner, 1813 to 18. I've got 1833 here, but I don't think that could be right. He didn't die when he was 20. Probably, it's probably 1893 or something like that. Yeah. Anyway, he's born in Leipzig, famous composer. Nice, humorless guy by the looks of things. Here's a scene from the Ring des Nibelungen. Franz Liszt was discussing Wagner's music, and somebody said Wagner had some wonderful moments, and Franz Liszt said, and some tedious quarters of an hour. But there you go. It's but he did write some great stuff apart from the Ring, like Lohengrin and Tannhäuser and stuff like that. Flying Dutchman. Okay. X is for X-rays. Nice picture, actually. This was me last week. Invented by Wilhelm Röntgen, 1845 to 1923. I'm rushing now, sorry. Oh, and why is yacht is a German word, yacht. So there's a yacht, basically. That was the best I could do for why. And Z, I just love the sound of this. 12 for 12 kind of is my Z. And of course, the Zeitgeist, which is, here we are, an invisible force or demon dominating the characteristics of a given epoch in world history. So we talk about the zeitgeist of what's going on at the moment. What would you say the current zeitgeist was?
Depressing.
Inequality.
Sorry?
Inequality.
I think maybe some things like woke.
Armageddon.
Yeah, wokeness. Yeah.
Woke.
Yeah.
Woke
I think I don't want to get too depressed, Neville. Yeah. So that's it, folks. But finally, I'll switch that off anyway. That's the end of it. This is 200 yards from Piccadilly Station. This is,
Oh, right, yes.
Was
The new
that
park.
new park?
this is amazing Mayfield Park, which
Yeah.
most people don't know is there. It's absolutely fabulous.
Oh, is that lovely?
And it's 2 minutes step down from the side entrance of Piccadilly Station. And there you go, it's got water running through it. Fabulous kids' playground, really kind of nicely done, you know, like different time slides, and there we go, that's a bit more. So that's, there you go. So if you get a chance,